Kaur, and I'm here to talk about the exhibition Curious Silence. This exhibition is at the Brand Library in Glendale, and I'm very happy and excited to be part of this exhibition. So it's called Curious Silence, and the artists in the show, in addition to myself, are Bijoux Altamirano, Jennifer Bastian, Bridget Carron, Renée Martin, Julia Paull, Heather Rasmussen, Renée, and Carly Steward. Renée Martin and Heather curated the show, and the show is based upon an essay by Susan Sontag where she talks about the curious silence of women artists over time. So the lovely lady who curated the show wanted to address that. I'm going to discuss some of my work in the show, and I'm also going to talk briefly about my art making practice and about my teaching. So the work that's in this show is, some of it is my portraiture, some of it's my landscapes, and some of it is more experimental work that I do. I actually don't work so much in set series that are based upon the subject matter as much as I explore whatever sorts of subjects appeal to me at the time. I think I work in a very intuitive way. The work in the show is varied in subject matter. And my particular work comes from several different sorts of series. Some of the work is astrophotography, so they're actual photographs of outer space that I took. And that work comes from a series called Half of the Whole. And there's also some portraiture of mine in the show, particularly an image of my sister that I took in the woods in Alaska. And this work goes together in the sense that it all explores the sublime and my ideas about the sublime in photography. Photography can give us this amazing way to see what we would not otherwise ever be able to see. That kind of goes back to one of the premises of early photography. It was used for exploration. It was used to show, faraway lands that people wouldn't otherwise be able to set their eyes on. And that's one of the things that I absolutely love about photography. My teaching is a very important part of my art making practice. I find that, teaching actually gives me a lot. To be able to teach someone how to make photographs and, technically to understand f-stop and shutter speed, but also to see conceptually why a certain series is working, why a certain exploration is turning out, and why one isn't. You have to really be able to understand it. And so I actually find that through teaching, I learn so much myself, and I consider that to be a very integral part of my photographic practice. Hi, my name is Siri Kaur, and I'm here to talk about my project called Half of the Whole. So I'm going to talk about this piece first. This piece was the first piece I made in the series Half of the Whole. And basically what I wanted to do was to recapture a childhood memory that I had of the aurora borealis. I had seen the aurora borealis in Maine as a child, and I had this sort of vague memory of it. And so I decided that I was going to take a trip to Whitehorse in Yukon in Canada. And I stood on a frozen lake for 3 nights and in this kind of quest for this kind of mystical experience, and all I got was this picture. And that picture just completely did not sort of encapsulate what my memory was. So I went home and I actually scanned the negative and I digitally painted it to make it the way I wanted it to look. This piece really encapsulates my ideas about photography and memory, and kind of, it's a lot about the beauty of photography and the power of photography, but also kind of the failure of photography to capture memory. So I mixed those two together, and then together they really show what a photographic experience can be or cannot be, and I like that kind of stuff. Now I'm going to talk about some other pieces from my series, Half of the Whole. This photograph is called Black Hole, and it's from my series of darkroom experiments that I made. I started out by going to Kitt Peak in Arizona, which is an observatory, and you can only access the facility if you And I used a mean solar telescope to photograph different intergalactic bodies. And this photograph, basically what I did is, I'm not actually a scientist, but a lot of my obsessions and what I look at are images that come from science. And I also like the fact that photography was really originally used as a scientific tool, right? Kind of one of the first ideas of photography was that it could show us what we otherwise couldn't see with our naked eye. So whether it was things that are really far away or kind of microscopic, germs and cells that we couldn't otherwise see. So I used photography in this series to investigate space and light. But what happened was I took this photograph and I actually brought it back to the traditional darkroom. So in this series, I'm mixing traditional photography, the black and white darkroom photography, with the best of modern technology. So this started out as a photograph through a telescope, and I brought it back to the darkroom, and it's actually an inverse photograph. And it's not actually a black hole per se, but I called it black hole to kind of draw attention to. It's literally a black hole on a white piece of paper. So I want you to kind of question, I want the viewer to sort of question what they're looking at, but also think about the sublime beauty of it as well. And I like the way that it sort of reminds me of an ink drawing, the kind of black dots. Black dots are actually stars, so they register as black because of the negative. So that's that piece. This is my piece, Cloud, Darkroom Experiment number 1. This photograph is from my series Half of the Whole, and it started off as a photograph of Antares, which is a galaxy. And I took this photograph using a mean solar telescope. And then I brought the negative back into the darkroom, into the traditional color darkroom, actually. And what I did was I printed it in reverse, and I used a cyan filter. This is one of a series of these so-called darkroom experiments that I do, where I put photographs of outer space through a series of darkroom tests that I do. And this photograph is really about, it kind of encapsulates my thoughts about photography and about this entire series. I'm wanting to